I feel you, man. I'm still stuck in 1984, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I get you. I
Good
feel
year.
you.
Talking about the scene, it's what we're doing. Come and check it out, it's what we're all about. 561 Music!
Welcome to 561 Music. My name's Ben.
And I'm Hector.
What's going on, Hector?
Not too much, man. How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. I enjoyed myself. We played a couple of shows. We played Jersey Diner, and I played Iguana Barnes. And you have a story about Jersey Diner.
Yeah, Jersey Diner was fun, man. It was the first time we played there. It was in Tequesta. It's the first time we played there. I didn't know what to expect. It actually turned out to be surprisingly really fun.
Yeah, it blew me out of the water. That place is just like an old school diner.
Yeah.
And little did I know, there's a little tiki bar attached to the back of it. And there's all these locals back there just having a great time.
But it just filled up. It filled up with all the locals, and it stayed filled the whole night. And we just had a great time. But just a funny story, man. You guys are always joking around with me about girls coming up to us and talking to me and stuff like that. And we started saying something. There was an older woman that had quite a bit older, that had asked about the name of the band, and you said, "Oh, if you look at the front of the kick drum, it says Killbillies right on there." And then James says, "If you look at the front of the snare drum, it's on there as well." And then I said, "Oh, if you look at the back of the bass, it's on there as well." And then jokingly, I started grabbing the back of my pants and I said, "And if you look at my shorts, it's there as well."
Right.
And then all of a sudden, man, like I just opened up that can of worms because that lady was like, "I want to see. I want to see. Take it off. I want to see." And then, like, when we took our break later that night, she came up to me and talked to me for a little while and was like, it was weird.
So, Hector is just like a woman magnet these days. It's a thing of beauty. It really is. And those gigs over at Iguana Barnes for me, they're really good for keeping me on my toes. And Sierra Lane did the sound. She's a great sound person, and
nice. How was that? Was you have a decent crowd there? Or?
It was okay. Those Sundays in the summer are pretty light on people.
It's hot, dude. I'm not gonna lie. It's hot.
I have a few people who always come out and see me, which is really nice.
Yeah, we thought about going. We had, but we had tickets to go see a School of Rock Broadway musical show at the Lake Worth Playhouse.
Interesting.
And my sister and her husband are in it, which was kind of fun to watch.
That's wild.
But we went to go see that, and then that ran a little bit late, and so we just
am I in it?
You were not in it. You were not in it, but it was fun, man.
Yeah,
it was fun.
That sounds awesome, man. So it was a relatively light weekend, just in terms of what we did with Killbillies. But
what did we do yesterday?
So we did a podcast for DragonCon.
The DragonCon report.
That's it.
Yeah, it's an unofficial DragonCon podcast of all things DragonCon, and the cool thing is that I guess we've officially announced now that we're playing DragonCon.
Yeah,
which is freaking awesome.
And if you don't know what DragonCon is, you probably do, but if you don't, it's basically like Comic-Con. Yep. It's a big convention for the nerds. Yeah,
man. It's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And the people we were talking to were like everything they were bringing up, like the celebrities we're going to see there, and the different tracks, the Star Trek tracks and the Star Wars tracks and this and that and whatever. Like everything they talked about, all three of us were like laughing like little kids, man. We were like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. And the lady who called us out at one point, she's like, I love watching the Killbillies on the screen. They're like little kids right now.
Yeah, totally. It's really going to be an exciting, awesome
it's going to
time.
be really fun, dude.
Yeah, I don't even really, because I've never been to it, I don't 100% know what to expect. So I'm just kind of like, can't wait.
I'll tell you, I went a few times and I haven't been since pre-COVID. And from what I understand, as crazy as I remember it being and as busy as I remember it being and as just nuts with all the cosplay and everything, from what I understand, it's nothing compared to what it used to be.
Really?
What it is now is nothing, or what it was then is nothing compared to what it is now. Meaning,
so it's better now.
Meaning, it's way better, way bigger, way crazier, way more full stuff to do. There's always they give you an app when you're there. You download an app and it has a schedule, and you literally have to pick and choose. You have to make decisions on what you would prefer to see over something else, because at any point in time on the schedule, there's 36 things that you could be, panels that you can be listening to, or people you could be talking to, or events that you can be seeing, or parties you can be going to, or whatever it is. At any point in time, there's a couple of dozen or 36 or whatever items that you could do, and you have to be like, well, I guess I want to do this one. I'll have to not do this one, you know? So it's that crazy.
I kind of get the feeling it's going to be so busy that we just end up doing whatever's near us.
They take over 5 hotels in the downtown Atlanta area.
Yeah.
Every ballroom, every room. They even have like, even in some of the upstairs like suites and stuff that are bigger, they even put some of the like the panels and stuff in those. Like 5 full entire hotels. Just they commandeer the entire thing. That's crazy.
Man. Good times.
Yeah.
So we have a decade at sea with us. How's it going, guys?
It's great. Thank you for having us.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for having us. Good to be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's our pleasure. We have so Joseph, Alex, and Orestes. And there's one other member, right? You couldn't make it?
Aldo, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Aldo. Gotcha.
Yeah, Aldito, man. He's our guitar player. He just recently had a baby.
Okay.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's the story they're pushing. I'm sticking to he was trying to go up the vent at the stadium yesterday and he broke his foot. Unfortunately, he could not make it because of that.
That's hilarious. So, you guys from Miami? Right?
I'm from Miami. Actually, we call ourselves like we're from South Florida, really, because we're a little spread out. I live in Miami. Alex is in Fort Lauderdale. Joseph is in Boca.
Okay.
And
Aldo
is
really.
somewhere in Fort
So you
Lauderdale.
got some of the 561 in there.
Yeah, definitely South Florida.
We don't have to kick you out.
I think one of us
They're
at
with
least.
me. They're with me. They can stay.
That's awesome. So how did you all meet? How did the band start?
Oasis and I have been friends for 2 decades now. Not at sea, but on land.
Only one decade at sea, though, right?
Yeah, because that's when they came in.
And came they did. But we'll talk about more in depth later.
Gloriously.
So we've been in a few projects together.
Okay. Did you meet when you were kids?
No.
But thank you.
Yes, essentially. So we in the last ventures, you know what, let's give it one more shot. Let's try something. And I think we were playing with another gentleman at the time, probably Sam.
Yeah.
And we needed a bass player. And funny enough, and I know this sounds like I'm joking, but we're not joking, Orestes comes to me and says, I found this guy I've been talking to on Craigslist, and I think we're gonna get killed. He's a freaking murderer. But here he is.
And my picture did not help either. Like I was selling myself on Craigslist.
He was fully naked with his butthole spread wide open.
Good.
I was looking like this.
And they immediately called you, right? They were like, we got to have this guy.
That's the one thing that sold. Yeah,
That's what I
was
said.
barefooted in the picture. That's great. I took probably like 5 or 6 pictures. I'm like, all right, Aldo, who's not here, he was traveling and he was away for 6 months in Chicago. And him and I grew up playing music all of our lives, and we were living together at the same time. And he was gone for 6 months, so I had nothing to do. And I was like, what the hell? Like, let's just see what bands are out there. If anybody's looking for a bassist, did a few things on Craigslist and put up a very revealing picture, and it worked out.
I'll tell you, man, people talk about Craigslist a lot, you know, for the obvious reasons, you know. But I'm in the band that I'm in now with Ben, and doing this podcast because because I met Ben because of a Craigslist ad probably 14 years ago, something like that.
Right.
Where I answered a Craigslist ad, auditioned for a cover band, played with those guys. That turned into a Nirvana tribute band eventually. Then I met Justin.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, I met
This
Justin.
is going. Yeah.
We did that for a while. And then through Justin, I met James and some other guys that I know and stuff. And James was playing in the band with Ben. And then because of that connection, I met Ben and started playing in Killbillies. And then we started the podcast. So a Craigslist ad, did all of that.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Goes along with
There's
This
good stories
episode-
there too, guys. There's good stories in Craigslist.
Yeah, this episode brought to you by Craigslist.
Yes.
it. Don't sue us,
Was an ad
please.
later.
How long have you guys been a band?
Loaded question. Proceed.
Sure, I'll take it. This Craigslist moment happened around I think 2013. I'm
Okay.
going to say, but we started jamming back then. That's when we formed the name A Decade at Sea and everything, and that was when Aldo actually joined the band as well. After Alex joined,
Yeah.
Aldo joined as well. So we formed A Decade in 2013. But I think around 2014, Joseph moved away.
17.
17.
I moved 27.
Yeah, so we played for a few years, and then we kind of took a pause
Right.
for, I think, like 3 years or something.
Yeah.
And then around 2019, towards the end of 2019, when Joseph moved back to our part of Florida, because he went to Tampa and then he came back, that's when we actually started becoming a little more active and jamming again, recording, etc. And then
Just in time for the whole world to shut down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So it was
that
your
kinda
fault.
happened. It was our fault, yeah. But I must say, for us, it kind of it worked out in a sense because it's not that we were like playing shows at the time. That was an
Yeah.
opportunity for us to not get together,
Sure.
not safely, but get together and just start practicing again, recording, and coming up with.
There's a lot of bands
new
that come
music.
on here and that was the deal. Either they started just before the pandemic, the world fell apart, and that gave them that opportunity of not having the pressure of shows to really get tight and build up and write music and do stuff.
Yep.
Or they got together in the pandemic or because of the pandemic because they had the downtime. I ended up in Killbillies because of the pandemic, sort of. The bass player left Killbillies at the time because of the pandemic. Didn't want to play shows. Safe. Didn't want to play shows. Didn't feel it was safe, etc.
Sure.
And then they asked me if I wanted to fill in for a couple of shows, and then
Yeah.
4 years later, I'm
The
still in
rest
the
is
band.
history.
So, yeah.
And thank God, I would rather be with no one else, my friend, in a band. You're a legend. So what are you guys' earliest kind of musical memories? Why don't we go around the table and what were your parents listening to when you were a kid? What stands out as from a young age as being something that made you like music?
It was very eclectic. My mom would be, because my mom moved to the States when she was 19.
Right.
So, and then she moved back, I think she was about in her late 20s.
Right.
And she had me and whatnot. But she brought a lot of different music styles with her. So at the house, we could be listening to some salsa and cumbia, and then a second later, we could be listening to some disco and,
Yeah.
some Beatles or, whatever.
That's cool. She
So-
was quite the Renaissance woman then.
She was, yeah. It was not just one size fits all. There was no right or wrong music. If you like it, it's good. That was all that mattered.
That's cool, man.
Very cool.
Yeah, let's go around the table.
With me, man, kind of, sort of like Joe said, my parents, man, there was always records playing. My parents were very much into the Beatles and the Police.
Nice.
And also in different days whenever we were cleaning or cooking, it would just be cumbia and salsa.
Cool.
I don't know. I grew up loving it. Whenever I was home alone, and during that time, if there was nobody on the street to play with, like the kids and stuff, then you just sat at home and didn't have anything to do. So I would just grab my dad's tennis racket and just pretend like I was,
Of course, yeah.
on stage.
Yeah.
I would get up on the sofa and just put on one of those records and played it from beginning to end, and
Nice.
it evolved from them for me. And I was probably I don't know, 8.
So
9.
it's been like a lifelong sort of pursuit then, isn't it?
Definitely, it was the one thing that I was just like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, I can relate
is
to that.
fun.
I was the same way, man.
Yeah.
What about you, Orestes? What early musical memories do you have?
Super early, I can't remember a lot from when I was younger than 13 years old.
Yeah,
I mean, my mom would talk to me about Elvis, for instance, and
Oh, cool.
I know my dad was into like some Pink Floyd.
Sure.
But I must say there wasn't like a lot of music playing in the house when I was younger. There was some Greek music,
How did that make you
celebrations
feel?
and things like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, what music is the music of Greece, or is it just like Greek pop kind of thing?
No, there's like Greek traditional music, you know,
Okay.
what you kind of like.
I can't even think what that sounds like right now. After this, you got to point me towards some so I can check it out.
I wouldn't know a lot of it. 'Cause I must say, like, I like it when I'm there. I'm cool with it, but I was always kind of listening to
Doing
like
something else.
American things,
Yeah.
British things.
I know there's a lot of Greek psychedelic trance DJs. That's one thing I do know. That's very popular in
Which
Greece.
was not something that I was into.
So you guys are all like you guys have all mentioned like disco and Elvis and the Beatles and stuff like that. So listening to your stuff that you guys sent over to us, it has a much harder edge.
Yeah, nothing like it.
Obviously, than
Nothing
so
like the things we
where
mentioned.
does that influence come from?
Well, you asked earlier.
Agree.
Yeah.
But then you go through elementary, middle, high
Sure.
school, and then you get exposed to all these litany of music styles and genres. And I used to play in a cover band when I was a lead singer, playing Iron Maiden covers.
Cool.
And then the same band we would play Metallica, which was the reason why I left that band, because I love metal. I just didn't want to play metal.
Sure.
Right.
And I was more into punk. I identify with the style, with the rebellion, with the attitude. Is the DIY.
The ethics.
the ethics of it. I fell enamored with it right away.
That's cool.
And then right around the time Nirvana blew up,
Yeah.
and I was to this day still my number one band. And I love Nirvana because
Amen,
Nirvana
brother.
loved the Beatles. So it was just all in all, it was just it worked
Ricocheting.
together. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
In terms of like punk, like the punk scene and stuff like that, how do you feel it is like down in Miami? Do you feel like there's gigs to be played and stuff like that?
I feel like, well, I'll take this one since I live there. I arrived in Miami in 2002.
Yeah.
And since I arrived, I always heard of the scene being amazing right before I arrived.
Yeah.
So I always hear like in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, there was just a lot of bands that were just in the genre that were coming out of Miami.
Yeah.
Like Quit is one of those bands that a lot of people talk about from Miami.
Against All Authority.
Against
where
All
are they?
Authority
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
Miami for sure.
Glass Eater.
Glass Cedar, yeah, those are the bands that were known down there.
Yeah.
And internationally. I mean, I found out about Against All Authority when I was still living in Greece, back in the 90s.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I played with Against All Authority in Paris. That's how I know
Oh,
those
wow.
guys. Yeah, this place called the Bateau Park. And then I came here and I found out they were from right around the corner.
right.
Yeah. But please carry on, man. Talking about the scene in Miami. and
Yeah, so I arrived in 2002. I felt at the time that there were some bands still kind of like lingering on since then. But after that, I would say after like 2005, at least my experience for the genre is there was always like maybe like one or two, maybe three bands that were kind of consistent and they had a draw, and it was difficult to kind of have like a big scene of like maybe 5, 6, 7 bands of the same type of genre to really form a scene.
Well, that's the thing.
and I
If
think it's
one
still
of
the
the
case.
bands in that style can't do a gig, then you can't have like an all ska gig or an all emo.
Right.
Because there's only a certain amount of
difficult,
bands.
Yeah.
I feel like down that way too. It's I mean, this way as well. Especially with the original music nights. But I feel like there's a ton of venues down that way, but there's not very many for rock or punk or that kind of thing. It just seems like the majority of the venues are either some sort of Latin music or hip hop, R&B, that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah,
Electronic.
just electronic music,
a lot of
Which is
electronic.
great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great
No,
for
it's
that
good.
scene.
And I don't want to say like, because I do love Miami and there are great bands.
Sure.
Even now, like for rock, for punk,
Yeah.
the two ska
Fuck
bands.
it, huh?
the two ska bands.
Yeah.
So there's definitely bands that come from down there.
Shout
I
out
must
to
say,
Fuck It.
I think it's bigger maybe in like indie and rock
Right.
than it is for maybe punk rock, hardcore.
There is
et cetera.
definitely a scene. It's just like the true nature of punk rocker, man. You just have to go search it.
Is it? I was gonna say it's more of an underground scene.
Yeah,
And
and
look at the logistics too. We don't have a great public transportation system to begin with. It's not like, oh, let me hop on the tube and I'm gonna go and meet you there. Oh, I'll take this bus. We're so massive, and if you go from east to west, north, south, the logistics alone, it takes a big effort to go ahead and meet in the first place. I was playing. Cher was early, mid 2001, and I caught the tail end of the so-called great scene. That's back in the day of the glory days of Churchill's and the Alley and Café Cristal and Kendall and whatnot.
Of course.
And even back then, you had pockets.
What's going on with Churchill's? now?
There's nothing there.
There's
now.
nothing.
There's nothing actually, and I recently just
parking lot.
Yeah, I went to a show at Bar Nancy not too long ago to see some bands, and I met with this guy that he is connected to Churchill some way. He's told me, and this is, I don't know how trustworthy that is, but he told me that they're planning on coming back very soon.
Okay.
But it's been about 5-6 years of them planning on coming back.
Coming
very
back
soon.
as what? As a Chili's?
As a venue, yes. As a venue.
There's a guy that was pretty connected with them that booked our Nirvana tribute band down there a few times that I still talk to on Facebook every now and then, and he's been telling me for a number of years now that like, yeah, man, something's coming, and like every month I'm like, and he's like, no, it's all right, it's coming.
Right.
But it's been
I
coming
hope
for
so.
years.
It's very near and dear to me. I have lovely memories.
The first time I ever came to Miami, I was on tour with my band Sonic Boom 6, and we played at Churchill's. So my first sight of Miami was the inside of Churchill's.
Oh, wow. What do you think of the bathroom?
Interesting. Yeah.
It's like horror stories.
Well, have you seen the movie Trainspotting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of like
I have
that.
not.
Yes. That's exactly it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly it.
So have you guys played? Have you played a lot up in Palm Beach County area, or like have you played any venues this way?
We played Propaganda a couple of times.
Okay.
I think that's it up here.
Okay.
We got to get you up here for some shows.
We'll get you up here for some shows.
Looking
man,
forward
for
to
sure.
it.
Awesome. Thank you.
For
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's not that there's a lack of venues per se. I'm gonna backtrack for a second. Like I said, that there was not a lot of rock venues in Miami and down south. There's a lot of rock venues. They're just very. They're not venues. They're bars.
Yeah.
And so the bands aren't really putting on a show. The bands are background music.
Right.
And because they're background music, the bars tend not to hire the bands that play original music. They want the bands that are going to play the songs that people recognize, because they're going to buy more beer and et cetera, et cetera. And I get that. There's definitely a place for that. I mean, hell, Killbillies makes a living playing covers.
Yeah.
We have plenty of originals, and we do a lot of original shows, but we make a living playing covers.
That's what pays the bills.
So there's the money to be made there, but it's a shame that there's so many venues out there that are like just cater to to cover bands.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like in that regard the future is bright. I feel like the scene's coming back a little bit.
It is.
I think it's gonna be good eventually. All it really requires is for a couple more places to sort of open their doors to it and get going with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So how do you guys write your music? Like, what's the process? Is there a process, and what is it?
It's a collective effort. It's usually somebody comes with an idea, and by the time that the song is finished, you can see the skeleton still there, but it's very dissimilar from the original idea.
Sure.
I think it was a conscious effort with this band. I know that Orestes and I spoke in great length. I said, what did we do wrong with previous efforts in other bands? And I think part of that is, here's my song, learn it, play it. So there was very little input of everybody.
Yeah.
So it was more of a, I wrote the songs, you guys play it. So it was one songwriter and then everybody else playing.
There was no ownership from all the band, yeah.
So we corrected that mistake from the past, and we make sure that we did that in the first EP, and we made sure to do the same in the second EP. everybody is listed as a songwriter.
It makes a huge difference, and it's because even if you're like not a selfish person or don't have a big ego, there's something that just if you're only playing everyone else's songs, something gnaws away at you a little bit, you know.
It does.
100%.
Yeah, and it's not because I'm really not like that selfish in that way, but every night it'll just catch you, and every now and again when you're tired or something like that, you're like, son of a, you know.
Yeah.
The next guy comes along. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs that we have made generally come from a center core idea that any of the 4 guys that are in the band brings, and is usually a chord here and there, and nothing. It just whenever we bring songs that are semi finished ideas, which is normally not the case, the older guy comes into play, and we just take turns to shift that that idea into what we think it's what we want to hear for that song. And all of us are into different genres of music.
Is there any one person that generally brings ideas, or you all bring ideas?
For the most part, I would say that Joe brings most of the work, and that's where the 3 of us will follow in and say, hey, can we try this? Can we try that?
Yeah.
Especially Aldo and I. Aldo and I, as opposed to Orestes and Joe, we come from a different generation of influences and punk rock, and we are into a lot of different bands that the guys are not really into. And we
Like at all.
Not for me. I like both.
Orestes he's the glue to both generationalist bands. You know, Joe being like 55 and us being 35.
If it's not this,
hard.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's
Joe,
it's fun, man.
You listen to Manu though, don't you?
Heck yeah. Still know the choreography.
Hell yeah, man.
But I would say that a lot, well, not a lot, but at least a good 25% does happen whenever we are in the studio recording, doing production, and we just start playing with ideas, especially Aldo. He's a great guitarist, and he's the kind of guitarist that will layer 3 or 4 guitars.
What's his last name?
Carrillo.
Okay.
Yeah, have fun with that.
I know an Aldo who's also an incredible guitar player, but I guess there's just a bunch of them around here.
There's a lot of
They have stores at the mall.
Only
and
2.
everything.
There's only 2.
Okay.
They're descendants from the shoemaker, but yeah, a lot of it's an ongoing process. The songs do not end until we have the master in, and we're like, all right, we're happy with this.
Yeah.
How do you guys record?
You have
DIY,
this gentleman to thank. It's a labor of patience and a lot of love.
Yeah.
And did I mention patience? Patience.
A little bit more patience.
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
But
And don't forget the patience.
It is. It's somebody should write a song.
It's
Called
fun.
Patience.
Patience.
I think there is a song called Patience.
Do you think?
There was a song by a band called Howard's Alias that we used to tour with, and he actually had Patience written on his guitar. And one of the tunes starts, patience, patience and understanding. It's such a band, it was such a cool tune. But yeah, it's very important. I do a lot of recording myself, and I know how patient you must be.
Yeah, it's fun, and then it gets to not being fun, and then
it's fun
it
again.
gets to being fun again whenever you're listening to the final product.
Yeah.
You're like, holy shit.
Do you guys send it away to master it?
We do. So the way that we record generally, we have an idea of the song. We bring it into the studio. We do everything do yourself. So we have a home studio in the different places that I've lived, and the first thing that I get to is just like, all right, this is going to be the space to record this and that and that. Drums wouldn't generally, we go to a studio, we set up the mics, we record everything ourselves. I put it into my computer, everything else, whether it's, a closet or a living room filled with carpets, just finding the best acoustics.
Yeah.
The guitars, we love to take our lovely time with it.
Yeah.
We like to explore guitar writing during the process of recording, which
Sure.
eventually becomes kind of like, oh crap, we have 3 guitars that are layered in this part. How in the fuck are we going to play this live?
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't.
We don't. So we make the best of it. Same thing with vocals.
I thought he was good, man. He can't play 3 guitars.
He's not that good. He's good, but he's not that good. But yeah, man, and just a lot of school of YouTube, learning from friends along the way.
Did you say what program you use? What DAW you use? I can't remember.
Logic, for
Yeah,
the most
again, me
part.
too. Yeah.
Logic. I love Logic, and again, the school of YouTube, man. Like,
You can learn anything you want these days.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to use Adobe Character Animator at the
Wicked.
moment, and like, yeah, it's all there on YouTube. You know?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
cool.
Brain
Yeah, yeah.
surgery.
And
It is. Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
it's frustrating at times. You know, just going through the motions of like, oh shit, we need to re-record this part, or we need to
Yeah.
and insinuate more of this the things.
One might even say that it takes patience.
It is a lot of
The
patience.
impatient one, probably.
But at the end of the day, it's a learning curve, and it's nothing but the best. It's the most climatic thing personally.
Yeah.
Sure.
Fulfilling,
Having that final product and saying, "Holy shit, I did this
Yeah, man.
without spending $0."
Yeah.
The problem
great.
with being so close to it, like you are, and like I can be at times, is because you've kind of got into it, like into the minutiae of it. So sometimes, even though like it sounds great, you'll hear flaws that aren't there. You know what I
Definitely.
mean? And that's one of the things that drives me nuts.
Haunts my dreams. I mean,
At some point, you just gotta move on.
Yeah.
It's there's always going to be something else that you want to add to it, and you're just gonna take forever.
No, we've
Yeah.
we've said it before on other podcast episodes, but songs, much like art, are never they're never finished. They're just abandoned.
That's so true.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is so
I
true.
mean, that's just the way it is. Is if you sit there every time you listen to it, you're going to want to change something or add something, and it's
Yeah.
just you're never going to finish.
100%.
You know what? For me, I feel for this band, A Decade at Sea, I must say, in the past, like I've recorded things that after listening to many times, like maybe an album or a song that I've recorded, I've always felt like, man, I should have done this differently, or we should have done this, we should have done that. But I must say, with A Decade at Sea, for both EPs that we've done, I
Don't make me
feel
cry.
like
Don't make me cry.
perfectly happy with everything that's there. I wouldn't change anything.
That is
It's
so
exactly
awesome.
how it needed to be. You know?
Thank you.
How did you decide to be called A Decade at Sea? I love that name because just anything nautical appeals to me. But where's A Decade at Sea come from?
crap. Loaded
Honestly,
question.
you want the true story or the bullshit story? Which
The
one do you
bullshit
want?
I mean, I'll take whichever one.
Whichever one sounds cooler.
You tell the bullshit story, we'll tell the real story.
You
How
know,
about that?
It's we were just playing. We were playing with words, and I'm a big Taking Back Sunday fan, and they have a Decade Under the Influence. That was part of where that came from.
Oh, okay, cool.
And at sea, I thought it was nice because we're from South Florida. The ocean's
Yeah.
right there. Why not? That's what I remember it came from.
Yeah, that's what
And
you
I-
remember, yeah.
And I remember originally it was not a decade, it was a decadent, a decadency.
decadency. Ah.
But I don't think Aldo knew what decadent meant. I clearly remember. What does that mean? I was like, decadent chocolate? What does that mean? Let's do it a decade. How about decade? I'm like, okay. So
Yeah. For me, really, like how at least I see the name was more back in 2013. I remember we liked music that was maybe dated a little bit because it was a
Right.
lot of like 90s influence
And there you have it, folks.
early
The
early
bullshit story.
2000s. Yeah, here it is. So it felt like we were like
A decade
at
behind.
sea,
Yeah.
and then we kind
I
of showed back
gotcha.
up and playing that music.
I feel you, man. I'm still stuck
Back
in
then.
1984, so that's fine.
Brilliant.
I get you. I
Good
feel
year.
you. I
Good
feel
year.
you.
For Aldo and I, the name takes a completely different shift.
oh shit, it's like 3 stories.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I love it.
I do agree with both of your points, and I think that the whole meaningness of the band and how like we knew that it was Ed was because both Aldo and I were immigrants for a very long time.
Yeah.
And being an immigrant in the U.S., whether you want to or not, you're lost.
Yeah.
And that whole entire time of a decade plus for us was not fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun times, but most of it was a lot of struggle. So whenever we were coming up with the band and the name drop, A Decade at Sea, Aldo and I both related of like, holy shit, this hits home. Because
I think a lot of people underestimate the feeling in your soul of knowing that you could just get like kicked out at any minute. That feeling is awful. It's just so unsettling, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's
And just living like that is just, I can relate to that.
Yeah,
100%.
That's where the fun, the
Hector's looking at Joe over there with the judging eyes. Are like, I have nothing on this.
Yeah, I got nothing, man. I was born here. USA.
Let's go.
Isis just pulls up and takes us along.
Call them now.
I got him.
I got 4 of them.
I got him.
All right. I would say this is a good moment to listen to something you guys have written. Let's get a tune on, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Cool. Fantastic.
Thinking of you and all of our mistakes.
Oasis Root Kava Bar is in Sea Grape Square on Indiantown Rd, and it is a kava bar. If you don't know anything about kava, it's a Polynesian root that you grind up and you mix with water, and it has been in Polynesia for potentially thousands of years. It's an old thing that they used for kind of ceremonial and also sort of leisure purposes. It's meant to be something where, that brings people together. You all take a shell of kava and chink them together and say bula and have it together like that. It's meant to be something to bring people together. It has a kind of an effect, which is, I guess, a kind of a slightly warming effect. It just kind of makes you feel nice. It's not particularly intoxicating. It's not like drinking alcohol. So the atmosphere in a kava bar is sort of like a cross between a regular bar and a coffee house. It's pretty chill in there. You get all sorts of different types of kava bars. Some of them are more like a club, there's sort of like blacklight and EDM playing. And some of them are more like a cafe. This is one of the cafe type of ones. It's super chill in there. If you're looking for somewhere to, I don't know, maybe go and do some work on your laptop or go and have a chat with friends, it's perfect for that kind of thing. There's a foosball table in there if that's your jam, or baby-foot as they call it in France. Yeah, Jim, the owner, is a really cool guy and he has very kindly sponsored our podcast. So thank you very much for that, Jim. They also do a poker night in there, all sorts of things going on at Oasis Route. 561 Music is sponsored by Live Music Community. It's where we film the podcast that you're listening to right now, and it's also where I work. Gavin, Hector's son, was a student here for a long time, and in many ways he's the musician he is today because of the teachers at Live Music Community. We taught him not only about his instrument, but also about being in a band, and his band Unemployed Youth accomplished a lot of goals, mostly band etiquette, how to work together, and all of the nitty-gritty that goes into being in a band on a day-to-day basis. The student signs up for lessons, learns their instrument, joins a real band, and decides the direction it goes in. And we can take people from very young age, 6 or 7 years old, all the way up to 80. There's no age limit here. We run an adult program for people who want to be in a band as adults, but really the main focus is on the kids and getting them playing together and in bands. We are also a studio, a live stream venue. We can record audio or video. The Killbillies live album, Warts and All, was recorded here. It was recorded during a live stream that we did during COVID. Justin had a great idea to record live streams during COVID. A ton of bands came in and it was a real success. Outside of that, we can record albums, we can help you with your EPK, and we have full audio-visual capabilities here. LMC is in Palm Beach Gardens on the northwest corner of Military Trail and North Lake Boulevard. And if you go to livemusiccommunity.com, you have all the information you'll need right there. So we were just listening to an ad for Live Music Community, and that prompts me to ask the question to you fellas. Do you have any advice for upcoming musicians? And let's go around the table.
Have fun. Concentrate on the fun aspect. If it's something that you enjoy having a good time with friends, keep doing it.
Yeah,
it's an amazing way to meet new people. I'm sure we've all told stories at the table and how we met each other just through music.
Yeah.
It's a lovely thing. And
we're meeting each other through music.
That's absolutely correct. So it just keeps on going.
Yeah, it's just the social aspect of it and the fun aspect of it is a big reason why I stuck around, that's for sure.
It is.
Yeah. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, dude. It goes bigger than the music, just the community, dude. Like the punk rock community, whether there is music or video or film or art. I think it's just a thing that we're into, and there is a new wave of kids that are just getting exposed to all of these different elements of really cool culture. So my advice is to holy shit, just don't think any less for doing something that requires a lot of work, because eventually it's going to pay off.
Yeah, and even if it's just that you make some beautiful art, there's really no downsides to working hard at it. Orestes, you got any advice for upcoming musicians?
I think for me, learning from my past mistakes, just be open to all types of music, really, even if it's not the one that you love listening to or whatever. Just be open. If you're trying to be a musician, something that you heard in hip-hop or jazz or rock or cumbia could possibly be used into the thing that you love doing, and you can come up with something really cool that other people might be like, oh my God, this is like so new, so different, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I've learned to be a little more open progressively, but I wasn't that guy.
Yeah,
when
me
I
too.
was in
I
my
can relate to
teens.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I could be a real, music snob when I was younger, and it's the only person that it's really just damaging for you to be like that because it means you don't get to enjoy, the rest of the picture, which is a terrible shame.
What changed that for you?
One time, a friend of mine, Barney, who I used to play in a band with, in Sonic Boom 6, he was talking about writing a song called, Tell Me Something That You Do Like, rather than like, oh, I don't like that because, I don't like that because. And it just got me to thinking about it, Like, I guess I was doing that a lot. I was looking for faults rather than celebrating the good things in it, And so it was in my early 20s when I just kind of started to turn around from that. And then I think the final nail in the coffin for me being negative about other music was when getting sober in 2020. And that just really changed my outlook on everything. Like in the sense that I stopped being as competitive and started to realize that what's important is to help other people do things and to celebrate other people,
Sure. Love that. What about you?
No, I just only listen to stuff in the 80s and that's it.
Is there any other kind of music?
No.
None at all.
I listen to a lot of different stuff. I really do. We were just talking earlier about the School of Rock thing. I'll listen to stuff from Broadway even. Like I listen to all sorts of stuff. I think the biggest turnaround for me though for music that I don't necessarily listen to, but I bring to the table now is really Killbillies. It's the band we're in now. It's a lot of bluegrass, a lot of Americana, a lot of outlaw country, I guess they call it, stuff like that. None of that stuff is anything that I would normally listen to, or hadn't in the past. And I find myself more and more listening to like the bluegrass station on XM radio and stuff like that. I find myself listening to more and more of that stuff just because I was in the band playing it. And I guess that's the point is it wasn't my cup of tea, man. It wasn't something that I enjoyed, but I was open to playing it because it was fun to play with these guys and it was fun. I was making these friendships and stuff. And now I enjoy it.
It grew on you.
That's part of the wisdom and the beauty of music, right?
Yeah.
I remember, I think we were somewhere in Manhattan. Oasis and I, we were touring New York City. Huh. We were having a good time. We got to actually see friends of ours, Humbert, shout out to Humbert, play at CBGB's. And when we're in the subway, we're just making fun of emos, I think, at the time. Well, I absolutely love emo music.
Yeah.
But if you ask me same question, back then, I'm like, oh my God, what's up with this music? I can't stand it.
No,
and it's just funny how things work.
Yeah, it's usually, I find, it's a lot, you feel a lot safer being negative about things. You're like, I'm this and that's that, and I'm going to poke fun at that. But it takes you to be a little braver and more open-minded to
I like what I like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, it definitely helps you grow, overall as an individual, but it helps you grow as a musician too. I mean, if I'm being honest, I hated Nirvana. I couldn't stand Nirvana for the longest time. All of a sudden, I found myself in a Nirvana tribute band, and now they are quite possibly my favorite band ever.
Yeah,
that's wild, right?
Wisdom comes with time.
Yeah. It took me. I was a late bloomer.
I did not expect you to not have been into Nirvana. That's really interesting.
When I was in the cover band that became the Nirvana tribute band, we played. I think we played 2 covers of Nirvana songs, and it was the obvious ones, Come As You Are and Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
Teen Spirit was fine. I mean, it was not, I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't love it. It was just a song. Come As You Are, it was just there. Same thing. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. But when we decided, somebody said to us that we did those 2 songs really, really well and that tribute bands made money, we should think about being a Nirvana tribute band. The other 2 guys immediately were big Nirvana fans, so they immediately were like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, I don't think I even know any other Nirvana songs, you know? And
you were like, can we be an REM cover?
yeah, basically. I mean, anything, The Clash, anything.
Yeah.
And then they started exposing me to more Nirvana music, and like literally every song they were like, we're going to play this. And I'm like, I don't know that song. And then we're going to play this. I don't know that song either. But it slowly grew on me. And then I was having fun doing the shows because we were recreating famous shows, the Paramount show, the Unplugged MTV show. We were recreating these shows. We were recreating the shows in their entirety, like
That's cool.
song for song, word for word. Like we almost treated it like a play. We did all the movements, all the stage movements, everything exactly like the way the videos were. And so we were just having so much fun with it that at some point I was like, I think I actually like Nirvana. I think I like them a lot.
It happens, man.
Do you think that has something to do with not only just playing covers in general? It's a tricky medium because whenever you are in a cover band, which I think all of us have been, there comes a point where you get this song and you're like, crap, I'm not really into this song, but then you start putting your own venture into the song.
I'll tell you what we do. So Killbillies has a lot of original stuff, and we do a lot of original shows. But our bread and butter is we go out every weekend and we play cover songs. You know, we play cover songs at bars.
Yeah.
And I would say we probably, when we play out, what is it, like 75% covers and 25%?
Yeah, it depends on the night.
Depends.
Doesn't it?
Yeah,
Because,
it really depends. We read the room.
If people look like they're down for us playing a bunch of our own songs, then we will. But if it's like if we just got to get a bunch of like drunk people to like change the mood in the room,
then it's wagon wheel.
Yes.
But the reality of it is that whenever we have like all the covers we play, I don't think there's any cover that we play the way the original song is.
Right.
In a large part, in our case, our instrumentation is banjo, guitar, upright bass. So
Wicked.
just playing those songs on those instruments already changes it somewhat. You can't help it. But we take all of those songs and make them our own, give them a little bluegrassy Celtic kind of spin to them, make them Killbillies, you know?
Yeah.
And so nothing we play, none of the covers we play, you would ever, like you'll recognize them and you'll sing along, you'll know the lyrics and stuff, but you'll never say like, oh, that was exactly like the album. Like nothing ever is ever like even close to the album.
To me, it sounds like it's an original song.
So we call them original covers. Original covers.
I love that, and that's my point.
That's cool.
Like, that is the point itself. Like whenever you are playing a song that you're comfortable with, which you don't like so much, adding your own staple to it.
Sure.
Yeah, the funny thing is we could
difference.
take the lyrics off of these songs and rewrite different lyrics and different melody, and it'd be a completely different tune. You'd never be able to tell.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you guys, can you tell us a little bit about the song we just listened to?
Cool.
Is that a different scenario?
Yes.
That's from the Rat EP. Came out, I think, 4 years ago.
2021. Yeah.
Like I said, 3 years ago.
I do the math in the band. Yeah.
That's true.
And the counting.
I mean, he's the drummer.
I'm the drummer.
He does all the counting and everything, right?
That is one of the first songs we started practicing as a band. And it's if you were to listen, and I think somewhere in there, we have to have the original versions of it. From what he was to what he became is like night and day.
It was the second song we wrote, actually.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think it
cool.
was the Skeletons, and then this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Sometimes the first one of the first like 2 or 3 songs you write, you carry on playing for the rest of the time as a band. Well, the first 3 songs, the first 2 songs that were ever written by Killbillies, we still play, which is
Wicked.
awesome. Yeah.
And it changed over time.
Those
Like,
two
it
get a
changes.
lot of love.
Yeah.
wicked.
To this day, the first song still probably from the first album. Absolutely, Skeletons my favorite because it just brings good memories of how this came to be.
Yeah.
And it's not like the show in the more virtuoso aspect of it. And maybe that's why I like it the best because it's raw, it's pure, it's what it is.
Yeah.
And
it's
then
awesome.
I think that's more or less the story of it.
And what are the words about in that song?
I think Orestes wrote most of it.
Yeah, I actually wrote the verses, and then you came in with the hook
Yeah, I have the bad habit of if they will come in with the lyrics and then I'll just, oh, that's great, but no.
Which I'm absolutely happy for that, you know, because I mean, Joseph comes up with like really good hooks, really catchy melodies. So like, I like writing songs. I haven't actually written in a long time because I'm happy because these two are in the band and Aldo, so I don't have to do it. But we wrote the first song. It was mostly a story of kind of the what ifs in relationships, timings, etc. So that's why it's called a different scenario. What if things were different? So it's mostly based on that.
Yeah, the lyrics is a great part. They're the hook of the song. The melody, I think that song shifted through the years. Whenever these guys presented the song to me, Aldo wasn't in the band yet, and I just thought it was great.
When Aldo came,
and and then that song is a perfect example of the clash of all of our different influences.
Oh, for sure, you can hear it. I mean, you can hear the different influences in there, and the guitar melody lines and everything.
Very much so. That's
that like angular guitar has that like kind of like there's like the original emo kind of angular guitar, and then also stuff like that sort of Midwest kind of punk scene.
Definitely, yes. A little bit of math there. That's all Aldo. Yeah, he loves just like, what do you guys think? And then we're just like, how am I supposed to sing?
This is great, but how do I sing? How do I sing this? I can't sing. It has no tempo. Give me 4x4. I'm happy.
So in this song particularly, it worked out well because we had the structure of the song, and we just started adding a lot of different shit, a lot of hammer-ons, playing with different sounds. We should do this, we should do that, trial and error, and just like layering shit on top of each other, and then it just became this machine that we cannot even play live.
So the oldies in the band, Orestes, who's the oldest, and then I, and then we have Alejo, and then we have Aldo. And
we're 10 years younger, by the way.
No,
you're not.
You're like, how old are you?
Aldo's like 15, right?
That's lovely.
Did I say I love Hector? I love Hector.
That's a second comment.
Also, man, but gosh, that's my man. I get that ladies thing. I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to feel it, the proximity.
100%. It just comes off.
It's like the gravitational pull. It's pulling me towards.
Are your shoes touching under the table?
I mean, I'm not going to say they're not.
It's happening. But in one of the songs from the EP that we released in February, it's called Wanted More, and because of my upbringing, I'm like, I'm a big fan of Maiden, and especially Steve Harris just shooting the crowd with his bass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we should go ahead and do the guitar like the immediate reaction, because Alejo was not a big fan, was like, absolutely not. Right. Absolutely. You should see this guy now shooting the crowd now when we play.
Oh, it's great. And then it goes back to our things. Like not a lot. Some parts of some of the songs, it's like, how do I make this part make me happy for the time that I'm playing it?
Sure.
And once you get that chemistry, it's just like, fuck, this is the best part of the song.
Yeah, man.
And I used to hate it so much.
No, that's a really good point. It's like finding parts to work for you in a song, even if like you're not a huge fan of this. You always have the control over the song to make it how you want it to be. You know what I mean? So I noticed that you have these beers that you. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, these are Florida Punx. This is a collaboration that the band did with Goldstream Brewing Company out of...
we need to get you to Goldstream. You guys are going to love it.
Where are they located at?
We are in Fort Lauderdale.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're very proud of this brewery, and it's actually our favorite venue to play at.
Nice.
Played it 3 times?
We have.
A Decade at Sea is actually a really good name for a beer as well as like it just works.
Yeah, Florida Punx. Yeah. And so this is an American Pale Ale, and I work with the company with Goldstream, so that kind of facilitated.
Sure.
We had it in a lot of things, but it's something that we're very proud of, man. And we all love beer. We grew up enjoying craft beer, and this company in particular just strives for success, and I think that is a great pairing.
Man. Absolutely. So, Iron Maiden have got their own beer. Killbillies needs to, not that I could ever drink it, but we need to get our own beer.
Well, you know what we could do? We could do a Killbillies root beer.
Yeah.
Hey, I see you. I love root beer.
That's punk rock.
Extra sarsaparilla, baby.
That's very punk rock. I love it.
So what's coming up with you guys? What have you got on is there anything you want people to know about or that is coming up?
I will be very appreciative because of the labor of love that it entailed to come up with the second EP. There were blood, sweat, and tears, sometimes literally, to put out the newest EP, Fuego. If you can go ahead and give it a spin, I think we would be very grateful.
Okay.
That's on all the streaming stuff and everything?
Yeah, we're on everything.
Awesome.
You go to Napster, we're right there.
MySpace, yeah.
Facebook Marketplace.
Morpheus, let's go, baby.
All of it.
For the most part, we're definitely going to concentrate on.
We're not 25.
That's good. Right now, we're focusing on writing. Although he just had a kid, and one of the most beautiful things about this band is that all of us are aware of our space and our time and our families as well, and that's part of it. And now that we have the baby in the horizon, like that's gonna limit us from playing as many shows as we want to, but in retrospect, we have a lot of time to be able to write music.
But don't look at it as a baby, man. Look at it as a future roadie.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, absolutely.
Future roadie, man.
We gotta make that a T-shirt for him.
That's pretty awesome.
It's nice.
A little onesie.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, you guys
that's
figure
awesome.
it out. Don't worry about it at all.
Yeah, well, that's the important thing, man. We talk about that all the time. That it's very important as a band to find people that are like-minded for the music, that play well together, et cetera, and that are good musicians that just mesh well together. But it's equally, if not more important, to find friends.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
The music will come. The musicianship and all that stuff, it all grows. But finding people that you can call friends and family, and really. And grow the band that way is, in my opinion, almost more important.
100%.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
We're still friends with people that we play with. Shout out to Ramshackles. I mean, the first friend I met when I first moved in 2001, I'm still very good friends with, and I introduced them to this band, and they come and support these new ventures, and
it's a community, man.
It's amazing.
It's fun.
Well, and that's one of the huge things that we've been doing this podcast almost 4 years now, and that's one of the big things that thank you. Yeah. That's one of the big things that we've noticed about the scene. And we started out very 561 music. We started out Palm Beach County, but we are now obviously venturing into further and further. We started going up to the Treasure Coast, started going down all the way to Miami and stuff. So we're really just kind of an all-encompassing South Florida podcast at this point. And that's one of the things is every band, I mean, for very, very, very few exceptions, every band that comes on here is so supportive of all the other bands around them.
Yeah.
Nobody is ever like, screw you, I'm going to be better than you and whatever. Everybody's always lifting each other up and helping each other.
It's not the style.
I love that about the scene down here, man.
It's not the
that's cool to
genre.
see.
That is just not. It's not really punk rock. That's not what you do. You're supposed to lift each other up. You don't.
No, for sure.
If you are in the pit, somebody falls down, you pick
them
that
up.
person up.
Pick them up.
Yeah, it's that whole.
Absolutely.
And if you're in a ska band, you pick them up several times.
Pick them up. That's hilarious. Well done there. So this weekend, there's there's only one
gig on Sunday.
On Sunday, which is the Gardens Green Market.
Yeah, which is always
which is
fun.
a lot of fun.
Always fun. But you're playing.
We're playing the Square
algorithms.
Yeah, we're playing Square Grouper on Saturday.
Okay.
From 3 to 6.
That's the duo, you and James, and then Saturday night you guys are playing at Poorhouse.
Friday night, Friday the 19th.
That's right.
We're playing at we're playing Poorhouse.
Is that Friday or Saturday?
19 is Friday.
Friday, yeah.
I'm glad you said that because I literally saw Keith when I walked in here and I said, hey man, I'm going to try to come out to your gig on Saturday. So I'm glad you clarified because I would have been standing at the Poorhouse going, where the hell are these guys?
Yeah, it's Friday. and we're playing with Fwakata and More Better Band.
Yep.
And it's going to be really, really fun. I just can't wait. It's going to be an absolute jam. Like, I haven't played the Killbillies has played the Poorhouse a few times, but not for a long time.
In my defense, you did say you might be playing at 1 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Well, that's Saturday.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
I was right.
Yeah, Poorhouse doesn't start until like at least 11:30.
Yeah,
I believe it. Well, and it's an after party or something too, isn't it, for a show?
Yeah, the
down there?
Aquabats are playing. And I love those
The
guys.
Agrolites, yeah. That's gonna be
Oh,
rad.
Aquabats.
Aquabats.
The Aquabats, but the
Yeah.
Agrolites
With the
are...
Agrolites?
Yeah, the
Gotcha.
Agrolites, yeah.
So they sounded so similar, I just thought you got me confused. But
You just thought you got it wrong.
Holy smokes, that's round. I'll be there. I'm gonna be at both
sick.
shows. Yeah,
Nice one. I'll
that's
see you there.
fantastic. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. We used to tour with the Aquabats back in the day, my old band, and so I hit a couple of them up to see if they wanted to hang out, and they said yes, so I might be able to get some good superhero hangs in on Friday night.
I sure hope so that they are still in costumes.
Yeah,
of
they will
course.
be,
Yeah.
100%.
They have to be.
At one point, you know how they used to do that battle with a monster on the stage?
Yeah.
So I was the monster one time. I got to tell you, he's not gentle. He's not a gentleman. It's like he's really
Beat the crap out of you, huh?
Yeah.
That is so wicked. That is so wicked. Can we speak about how nobody knows, or a lot of people know, but how still people don't really realize that Travis Barker played in the Aquabats?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
That's
I know.
wild. That's wild to me.
Aquabats are one of those bands that they're just so fun. They're the best. They put me in such a good mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, that's really all that's going on. I've got the Virgil's book of poems here. I was going to try and find a poem in here that wasn't like really.
Just pick a random one.
I will,
Just pick
yeah.
a random page.
I'll pick a random one. I just wanted to make sure that it doesn't have anything terrible in it. Okay, here we go. So, my friend Virgil Price, who sadly disappeared at sea. He disappeared at sea about a month ago, and so I feel like I like to keep his memory alive. So I'm going to read one of his poems. I love my dogs. I love my friends' dogs, as long as they are not small. My friends say they like my dogs, but I don't believe them. So there you go. That's one of Virgil's interesting poems. If you want to read more of Virgil's work, he has a book called Random Thoughts About Nothing, Anything, and Everything, and you can find it on Amazon and all that stuff. So you should go get it.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Sweet, man.
All right.
Thank you, Virgil, for the dog poem. That was
absolutely.
Beautiful. I love my dog.
We appreciate you guys making the track. I know for you it had to have been a
Happy to do
hour
it.
and a half at least, if
was,
if not more, with the traffic and stuff. So we do appreciate you guys coming up. I know it's a long way.
Absolutely,
But,
yeah.
It
We
was
would've
very
missed it for a thing.
Yeah, very fun having you guys on here. Man. Appreciate it.
And I love the music, and I can't wait to see you live. And maybe we can make that happen in a few weeks.
We
We'll
will.
see how
It's
we
not
do.
maybe it's happening.
Yeah. First fingers. But we talked about what we got coming up. I mean, I guess that's about it. So listen, fellas, thanks. Nice.
Hey,
Thank you very much,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you, guys.
Take a better scene. It's what we're doing. Come and check it out.